Okay, welcome to the No Technical Discussions. Today's the 11th of December 2024, so our last one to sync for the entire year. You all have the agenda, and if you have extra things to add, please do. Hopefully some of the core team can take on the technical discussions after, but it looks like first up is a demo from Birdie on the latest No-Key mobile features.
Yes. Let me share the screen, just a second. Okay. So in the previous meeting, we showed that No-Key is able to add custom networks, and that change is so it's the same. Continue to accept custom networks, and you can add, and probably in the future can modify the custom chains, and that's the same. But the new thing here is now that we are having a loop over the keys and over the chains, and inspecting if the key is being used on each chain and displaying here the name of the chain. It will be better. It will be more fancy in the future, I promise. But for now, just the name of the chains. And the idea here.
Yuri, I think we see only your Google Meet screen.
Oh. Again, entire screen. Share. Thank you, Remy. What about now?
Yes.
Yes, better.
Okay. You need to tell me because I'm not following the chat, just one monitor. So the idea is to display to the user, to inform the user how, where first, of course, that where you're using this key, but the behind the scenes is how important the key is. So most of the keys were being registered in multiple chains. The more important we believe that this chain is. So because you don't want to delete this by a mistake. So you need to be aware the usage of this key. We are considering to put also the balance, because it's the fact I check the balance of this address, the key address, to inform that is you have first being registered, being this address is recognized by that chain. And the second case is this key registered on user realms? So basically two questions that I could answer here in this list. And the third question that I need your input here today is, we know that the key is, you have plans to use keys on realms to the key, to one key to have like a realm owner, and also this key as not the key. I'm stopped to talk about the key, but let's talk about address. And that address will have some incentives or the coins that you send to the realm's address. So I know that there is a discussion, and I as a key owner, I'd like to see in which realms this address is being was used as a register, the balance of this address on each realm. So yeah, I want to display information, and I want to be aware of the usage of this address. So, and the balance and everything that I could this address and this keys. I need to display here. Basically, is that the idea right now is just the usage and the user realm register, but we are also considering this realms address usage. So, but yeah, that's the point. And I want to hear your input if you have anything, please. Any idea, suggestion, anything that we could put?
We have a discussion point later about the details of these after all the demos. We also want to point out, as we mentioned on our Journey post, that we had this up on the iOS test flight and on Google Play under the testing section. So if you want to try these out, you can. Best thing is to send a direct message to Yuri on Signal. And we need an address for the invitation, and whether you're on Android or iPhone, as before. So a lot of you did try out DSocial. Now, of course, DSocial is integrated with Ginoki Mobile. That's the big change. We now are using DSocial as a demonstration app on how the kind of realm-specific app like DSocial doesn't need to know about managing keys and stuff like that. It'll farm that out to Ginoki Mobile. So you can try that out. And well, so Yuri described the feature we want to do in our discussion section. Later we'll go into some of the technical details on how we can do that.
Yeah, regarding the demo, it's just that.
But it's in our point of view, Ginoki Mobile is pretty much feature complete now, and so we're going to be focusing a lot more on the UX and making it, polishing it, so that it can be a solid end user app. Yeah.
Yeah, on that sense, we submitted a first version for Apple Store last week. They are more restricted on projects that touch crypto, so blockchains. They are now more, yeah, they are requesting more evidence concerning about if we have allowance to operate on the countries that we want to release. So Constant will lead this stuff for us. Probably you contact Michelle or anyone, other people in the team to start this, because it will take a long time to convince Apple to release. I don't know. Let's see.
Thank you, Yuri. It looks like Unblock, you have, well, it says no demo this week, but did you want to?
Yeah, I just wanted to share that we don't have a demo this week, but our main focus for the past 2 weeks has been working on the GNU core tasks and optimizing the GNU sub projects to prepare for mainnet early next year. And you can find the details in our journey in the HackMD. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Up next, we've got Kirk with a B-tree demo.
Hi there. Yeah, so I want to just show off a couple of things that that I've worked on that recently got merged. Give me a second while I figure out which of my far too many, holy cow. Far too many windows is the one I want. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I've worked on getting a implementation of B-tree added to Armada repo, and it got merged last week. So I wanted to show it off a little bit. So what I've done, excuse me, is I've created, it's actually based off of the test suite that is there for the B-tree and the monorepo, but I've created a simple little benchmarking program to just sort of show off the performance of this and compare and contrast it to the AVL tree. And so if you've used the AVL tree before, one of the things you know about it is that it's fairly restrictive on what you can store in it. The B-tree implementation that I did is completely flexible. A node can be anything that you can write a less function for to compare the values of those nodes. And so in this test, I just have a content structure that has a key and a value that are both interfaces. And my less function here will handle both strings and integers for valuing them. So you can key it with strings or integers and it'll work just fine. And I'm just going to run this, and I'm going to run it with some timing. And so what we're doing here, as it says, we started just by inserting 1,000 records, searching for them, deleting half, searching through them again. And then the real stress test is building a tree with 100,000 records and doing some manipulations on them. And as you can see, took 48 seconds with Google Meet running here in the background. Some interesting statistics there on performance. If we go up and we do the same thing, I have the exact same suite written for the AVL tree, with the caveat that it's only dealing with strings because that's the restriction on the AVL tree. And we do the exact same thing. I may not actually sit here and just be silent while this runs because it's going to take a lot longer. The B-tree implementation is on balance 2-ish times faster than the AVL tree for any of the stress tests that I've ran against it. You can find it in the Noland P demo. Now here. While that runs, so you can find it in the Noland P demo B-tree directory. If you want to take a look. And let's see if it's finished. Yeah, finished. So it took 127 seconds compared to 48 to do the exact same work. So yeah, that's now available. It's got a very, very feature-rich API. So I'd love it if some people play with it and let me know if there's anything that meets the eye that you have questions about. I heard a bloop. Was there a question?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you? I'm really curious on the performance side. Have you tested this? Are there performance differences between doing type introspection versus having static types in there? Like if I used, string and integer, some like declared types. And the reason I'm asking is, with the absence of generics, it sounds like this could be really cool for code generation.
Yeah. So I actually have 2 stress tests here, and in the minutes I put a link to a gist that has these stress tests, so you can go grab them and run them yourself. The strings only stress test implements a content that is got the same restrictions. Instead of using an interface, it's got the specific string key value. So it looks like the restrictions the AVL tree has.
Yeah.
It's.
But you're still casting. You're still. I'm curious if if you made a implementation of B-tree that was like of static types, right? So we're not doing any
Oh,
typecasting. I'm just curious
okay,
from
yeah.
a benchmarking standpoint, from a no land, like from a no runtime standpoint. I'm just curious. That was
Yeah, I haven't, done anything, of that nature. I try to keep it as flexible as possible here, so you can do anything you want with
no, that's
it.
super cool. No, it was
Yeah.
more of an academic question than a practical one. I think this is really cool. Thanks.
But now, just if you're curious, eliminating the interface, which of course then makes the less function much simpler, here results in a very, very, very tiny performance increase. On this particular benchmark, it might be a second faster. So, even with the flexibility and everything, it turns out to be pretty fast. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention really quickly, because if a person's like working on games or simulations or something like that, where you actually might want to generate random numbers, right now, the math random implementation that we have it's based off of the Go version that uses the PCG pseudo-random number generator. And PCG is kind of a really standard pseudo-random number generator. It produces pretty good quality randomness with pretty good performance. But I went and this is in my personal area, PY Haynes. I added some other pseudo-random number generators that if you're doing anything that requires randomness, you might want to take a look at them, because they're all faster than the PCG one. The XOR shift ones in particular are much, much faster. And the Isaac pseudo-random number generators produce much higher quality randomness. Basically, Isaac, you can't discern it from actual randomness. And all of these have basically they have a benchmarking suite built in. So if we go into this one, that one. So all of these have I built in a little function so they can self-analyze themselves. So you can see that ran quite fast. And if we go over into Isaac, and we do the same thing with Isaac. Isaac's a little bit slower, but it's still faster than PCG, and it produces, like I said, really quite high quality randomness too. So these are available in the mono repo. If you need random numbers for anything, take a look at them. And feel free to play with them, ask me questions if you have any. I also included one to run PCG as well. I should have ran these with time so you can see the difference, but PCG here takes probably 15, 16 seconds on my laptop to do this. Isaac took like 11, and XOR Shift took 1 or 2. So yeah, those are the things I have to demo. If anybody else has any questions, happy to try and answer them.
I think Jeff has a question.
Yeah, hi Kirk. We in AVL we use the get by index, especially for paging through messages, and so where you can look up by the key you want, find out the index number. It's an integer, and then you can just get the next 10 things in ascending order of key by asking by index. Does that work in your implementation?
The API is big enough that I have to think. I am not sure if I implemented that or not. That's a really good question.
Yeah, just look at the AVL tree, get by index.
Yeah,
like I said, we use it
I don't
for,
remember.
For pagination, stuff like that.
I went through all of it. It's actually been weeks and weeks that the PR was out there, and and so I don't know. We can take a quick look.
I looked briefly through the code, but I didn't exactly see it.
Well, let's look at the test suite tests everything. I tested every single function, and so I don't think that there is an ability to grab by index right now, but it should be implementable.
Okay.
So
no pressure, but I'm listening to you selling us on using this instead of AVL tree. I mean, I would ask the devs in general, why, if B tree is better, what is the advantage of AVL tree? I know Manfred's talked about how it has features that are good for like getting a slice of it as a Merkle tree, for example, or things like that.
The B tree should be able to do basically everything we can do with the AVL tree, and it's faster. It also uses less. Well, actually, sometimes it uses a little bit more RAM. It kind of depends on what you're pushing into it. But the memory usage is pretty comparable. But it's much faster. I will take a look at that particular use case though, because
I think it's related to how, like, if you insert one, we have this worry. Like we have in dsocial, we have a million messages in a gigantic AVL tree, and it works. But we're always worried that if some user inserts one message and they have to pay the gas to insert that message, maybe that one message will cause a gigantic rebalancing of the tree, and they're going to pay as if they're inserting 1,000 messages. So it all has to do with how GNOME represents and persists these big memory structures. And that's the most important thing to us. We don't want someone to get nailed because you have to rebalance the B tree, and you're the sucker who has to pay the gas to do that.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
I do think that the trade-off there, if I remember correctly, and somebody here, correct me if I'm wrong, AVLs have more consistent worst case rebalancing, while B tree can have wildly unpredictable rebalancing in certain scenarios. But I think if I'm, they're both like O log n. I'm trying to think my computer science stuff. But it'd be interesting to see in a real world scenarios of how we're using it. But it would be really cool, Kirk, to have a very sober document on trade-offs, right? Because everything's a trade-off. And it would be really cool to see the comparison. And that way the engineer can think about which is appropriate, right?
Yeah, I think that a document like that's definitely something that would be really interesting to build in the new year. Because those are some interesting questions.
Yeah, you'll get grad school algorithms class bonus points if you put that on. I have a quick question. It's on the second topic you brought up, which was
the PRNGs.
On the RNGs. So there was something I read about recently that was very fascinating to me, and I know that they've implemented it elsewhere. These are called verifiable random functions. I can briefly explain it unless I'm talking to an audience who already knows what these are, but I wasn't aware about the inner workings, and I think they're really cool. I can bring it up for a hot second.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So not VFRs, VRFs, verifiable random functions are pretty interesting. Like most NP complete stuff. You can verify it very easily, but you can reverse engineer it, with a really crazy time complexity. And it's based off of your pub key. So I can write something on chain that's like, I'll give you some random number, like I pick a random number, and then you can generate a VRF from your private key, and I can verify that that was generated in a fair way from your pub key plus the input data that I provided, and it's got an even distribution, so it's not guessable. Like I can't guess what the output would be because it's derived from your private key. So it's a way to have like eventual, like everyone involved can introduce entropy, right? They can introduce randomness to something that has some future state. Like, so I say, give me a number that I know. I'll give you a number that I know. You do something with your private key that I don't know, and the output is verifiably random, right? So it's kind of cool, especially if you're going to do things like, do some fair distributed rolling of dice fairly and things like this. I don't know. It'd be kind of interesting to think about if we're going to talk about like random suites.
Yeah, and yeah, VRFs are, they're starting to veer into the train of zero knowledge proofs, which there's a ton of really interesting stuff that you start getting into when you go in that direction.
You could basically think of them as keyed hashes, right? So like if I have a keyed hash, there's some shared symmetric secret that, I can, like, you can only reproduce the hash for this payload if we both have that key, and that we get some sort of HMAC or whatever out of it. But this will do it with public key cryptography. And so there's actually some kind of interesting things you could do with that because we don't have to have a shared, there's no symmetric key that we need. I can just prove that the answer you gave me is correct, right? Which is kind of interesting.
Yep.
So anyway.
I agree.
Great.
Well, yep, I will stop sharing, and
Thanks.
feel free to ask me any other questions, on Discord or wherever you can find me if you have any questions about any of this. Thanks.
Thank you. I don't know, there were some questions in the chat, but it looks like you guys tackled it. Looks like up territory, but no demo.
Yep, right. Same as on Blockmates, we are focused on GNOME core task and issues for the moment. I just posted the report on the Hackerspace.
Do you have any questions or anything, blockers, or?
Actually, I don't think so. I think it's fine. And just wanted to thank the core teams, because we had like several reviews that were pending, and I guess it was pretty hard to manage all reviews, and it was quite fast. So thank you guys. We'll have more next week.
Making sure to keep you folks busy.
Okay, I think the last one, we're moving into discussions. We only actually have one discussion topic for tonight. I think Birdie, it's over to you to get answers from the core team.
Yeah, I'll just point out our question. As Yuri mentioned, we want to show information about a particular key address, and getting the balance is easy, things like that. But one idea is it would be nice to show the realms where that key was used to do transactions, so that if you have a couple different keys and like you can't remember, did I create this key for working with Dsocial? Did I create it for working with Zentastic or something? And of course, the way to do this, we could do this with an indexer, where you just scan the indexer for transactions which use that address. And we could do it for our Birdie testnet, which we're using for dsocial. But of course, in the long term, we want Binoki Mobile to work with different networks. So the general question is, will there be an indexer with a query endpoint on mainnet, or like on test 5, or on the portal loop, or it seems like indexes are so useful. The question is when, what general availability will they have for all these different chains? Any thoughts on that?
Is Miloš here?
I think he's on vacation, no?
Huh, that's interesting. Miloš on vacation.
Well, if that's the
Never heard
answer,
of
then
that.
we can bug him when he's back online. We can just bug him directly then.
I mean, sorry, will there be for each chain? I think the TLDR, which I may have to be corrected on, is that yes, we will have an indexer for each chain. Maybe the portal loop is the one which will be a bit funky, a bit unreliable, just because of the nature of the portal loop. Though it should actually be better with the updates we're doing to it. Not 100%. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, that's. I think we do have an indexer for the portal loop though.
Okay.
Indexer.land. No, anyway. But yeah, we'll definitely have an indexer on mainnet, and as well for test 5. I think there's already one, and we'll keep having it for each testnet. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll look into that more. That's promising. While I have the floor, I see a lot of activity around mainnet. Do you want to say something about the plans for mainnet that us mortals can hear? No?
Just kidding.
Because
Maybe
I'm out of the loop on that.
maybe a good question for Manfred on if you want to do an update on mainnet.
Manfred just left.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Do you have a more specific question?
Wow. I see a lot of activity about people saying getting ready for mainnet. I'm just wondering what that means. Is there?
So, a general answer to this will be released in a blog post. I think it will be released pretty soon. Maybe Leon knows when the blog post will be released, but basically there will be an announcement. The thing you should know is that we are definitely pushing up to be able to release a mainnet soon, and the goal is for us to finish, for you grantees, partners to help us finish, but also to help us try out everything. So, for instance, the dsocial app is a good dog fooding, and it tests the whole pipeline. We still need help on some topics that are pretty new. For instance, the constitution topic is one. I think right now it's restricted in terms of access, but maybe as a partner you can get a preview. But basically we need help to tackle some last topics. Then the goal is to make a mainnet launch. We will announce the expected launch itself, like who will be the first validators, when will be the launch date, if we don't want some days like not with a public announcement, so we can try out more things with technical people. So all those things are to be figured out later, but consider that pretty soon we'll have the mainnet, that we definitely need your help on existing topics, so continue using the GitHub issues to participating to these meetings. Something that can be very helpful is if you have clear questions, because specific question is either something we can answer to you and in a FAQ, but it's also maybe some things that we never considered before. So questions can be very helpful for us to make sure to avoid forgetting anything.
So Michelle said something about the blog post coming soon. So I think I'll wait for that and then see if there's something that isn't covered in the blog post.
Yeah, it's still pretty general. So if you want, for instance, details on which features or what, this is something where we could probably discuss here or discuss later. But definitely the blog post will give you a good overview of what we expect for this launch. And yeah, the rest you need. It will give two main information: what we expect for this launch, what we expect after the launch. There will definitely be iteration around GNU, and this blog post should also answer a little bit what you can expect on day one and what you should be patient for.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, please read the blog post. Please ask questions. And your question will be useful, and also please help us finish. We need your help.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the blog post, barring any major things, should come out this week. We also have actually a form that we'll probably share with you guys for questions, because we hope to have maybe next Tuesday. We've maybe thinking about a different date, Manfred, but next Tuesday on Discord, opening up to the community, to you all, a live Q&A with the questions from the doc going through, so it can help us build the FAQ, but mostly based also on the content that will be released in the blog post. So coming soon, Jeff. I guess that we've kind of come to the end of the agenda. I didn't know if there was anyone else who had any questions, or if there were any updates from others that need to be shared with the larger team. I didn't know, Christoph, if you wanted to give an update.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah, so just a quick update. Right now, on the security side, we're pretty busy going through outstanding issues, trying to prioritize and close things out before the init launch. And then we're involving a number of outside parties to provide major security contributions to the effort as well. One is going to be a fuzzing product focused on the GNU VM. That should be kicking off here pretty soon, within the next few weeks. We'll also look to make a final decision on the auditing team that will provide third-party auditing for the GNU repo overall. Starting primarily with a focus on kind of like GNU land aspect of things, but also take into consideration the GNU VM, the context around the GNU VM and interfaces with GNU land heavily, obviously, and also considering TF2. And I'd like to also involve one more team to look at some critical GNU contracts. I received a very interesting proposal from Big Integer, who previously worked on GNU Swap, so we're considering their contribution to that effort as well. So if anyone would like to stay more detailed up to date on what's going on with that stuff, feel free to reach out to me and I'll keep you in the loop. Or if you have any feedback, that's always welcome as well. That's it.
Thanks, Christoph. Is there anything else or any questions? Okay. Well, I guess that's a wrap for 2024. So I think the next technical discussion with Nemanja will be in 2025. Thanks, everyone. See you.
Bye, guys.
Bye. You. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.